Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be doing a makeup breakdown tutorial for complete beginners. If you have never touched makeup before, if you have thought about touching makeup before but you got scared because you didn't know what to do, this is a video for you. So I am going to go in depth about some of these products, and I'm going to go in depth about skin type, skin tone, what products I enjoy, what products I think work best for beginners, what brushes I think work best for beginners, and just techniques that I think are super simple that anyone can do if they're just starting out in makeup. So I really hope this video helps you guys or anyone wanting to get into makeup or wanting to have a little bit more knowledge behind what they're doing. Enjoy the video, guys. Alright guys, so as you saw by the intro, this is going to be a complete beginner makeup tutorial, kind of talk through just makeup for complete beginners. And this is for people who have never set foot in an Ulta, have never thought about doing makeup until right now, and that's why you're clicking on this video. First, I want to say just a couple of disclaimers. This is the way that I do my makeup. This is the way that I feel like my makeup is done the best. This is the simplest way that I can break down makeup in the way that I do it. So this is mostly my opinions. I have picked up a few tips and tricks along the way, but for the most part, this is how I find myself doing my makeup and how I can really narrow it down to the nitty-gritty of what I think I use my products for and what I think that they are used best for. So just saying that. And then another thing is, you do not need high-end expensive makeup to do your makeup, to complete a makeup look. Everything that I'm using in today's video is drugstore, and I wanted to also give you guys a couple more recommendations so that you can go out and buy your own makeup if that's what you decide to do after this video. So the first thing that I always do before I do my makeup is I wash my face. This is a really good cleanser to start out with if you have never owned a cleanser before, or if you have one that works, that's awesome. But I would definitely recommend the Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser. This is for face and body. And then, this is a huge bottle, but it's face and body again. It is the Cetaphil Moisturizing Lotion, and I will put this on just a tiny bit before I do my makeup. If you have never really washed your face or moisturized before, I recommend Cetaphil. They're a pretty good brand. You can find them at Target and I think at Walmart. I can't remember how much I bought this for, but this comes in a smaller size and this comes in a smaller size. So if you want to just try it out, you absolutely can buy the smaller sizes. Before you do anything, wash your face and definitely moisturize your face. Okay, so the first thing that I do in my makeup routine, and some people believe in primers, some do not. The only thing that primer does is help your makeup stay on better and give you a more flawless base. So there are different types of skin. So there is dry skin, oily skin, combination skin, and normal skin. And so dry skin is obviously when you have dry patches on your face, if your face doesn't feel as moisturized throughout the day, if it's flaky, things like that. Oily skin is where you feel like you're really greasy, kind of in this area, maybe in your nose area, maybe on your forehead, on your eyelids. Combination skin is a combination of both. I have combination skin. I get pretty oily on my eyelids and in my T-zone here. This is your T-zone right here. I get oily there, and I get a little drier around my mouth and under my nose a little bit, and a little bit on my forehead closer to my hairline. So I have combination dry and oily skin. Now normal skin is just, you have perfect skin, good for you. But there are different primers for different skin types. So if you have a more dry skin type, then I think you will be good with a dewy primer. Both the primers I have to show are not drugstore, but everything else is. But I just wanted to show you guys for reference. So this is the Becca First Light Priming Filter. Now, when shopping for a primer, it will usually say primer on the bottle or the box that you're purchasing. And for dry skin, you want to go for a primer that is more dewy and that will be more hydrating. Now, all that means is that when you add the primer to your face, is that the product will soak into your skin and make your dry skin a little more hydrated throughout the day. So that is what the Becca First Light Priming Filter will do. I know a lot of the drugstore brands have hydrating primers, so definitely go and check those out. I'm sure that any store you go to, anyone in the makeup department will be more than happy to help you pick out a primer if you know your skin type. And even if you don't, They could probably look at your skin and tell you what your skin type is and how, based on how it feels, if you're comfortable with like letting them touch your face, or if you can kind of feel for yourself and say, I think I have more dry or more oily skin. But like I said, for dry skin, I would recommend a dewy primer, a dewy hydrating primer. Now for oily skin, I would recommend a more matte primer. And all matte means is it's the opposite of dewy. So like with this Becca First Light Priming Filter, I'll show you guys a little bit. There it is on the back of my hand. As you can see, this primer is super liquidy, super hydrating, and it gives kind of a glow to the back of my hand just a little bit. Now this is called No Problem Primer, and this is from Touch in Soul, but this is kind of a matte pore filling primer. As you can see kind of right there, it's a different texture and it kind of doesn't fall off my finger. It's definitely pore filling and it's more, it glides on and it's a lot smoother. The hydrating primer is smoother, but it will soak into your skin a lot better, kind of like water almost. When you read something on the box that says pore filling primer, all that means is that the little tiny holes in your face that you see throughout the day, or if you don't see them, that's great. You don't have big pores. I do have big pores. So when you see those little holes, those are your pores. So what this primer does and what primers like these do, the pore filling primers, they fill in the holes. So they fill in your pores. So when you add, I'm gonna use a little bit of this primer where my pores are a bit bigger, which is right here. And I really like to press in the pore filling primer because you are filling your pores and essentially giving yourself a smooth blank canvas to work on. Because if you really don't fill in your pores, then the makeup will sink into your pores and make them more prominent. So with this technique and pushing in the pore filling primer, that will just really fill in the pores and give your skin a really smooth and nice base for your makeup to go on top of. So I really like the pore filling primers. This is not a necessary step. If you moisturize your face and you aren't sure if your pores are big or if you even want to fill in your pores or if that even matters that much to you, if you're just starting makeup, then you can completely skip primer. That's fine. A lot of people don't believe in primer. Some people are diehard primer believers. So it's really just up to you, and if later on in your makeup journey you want to add a primer to your routine and you see a difference, that's great. But if not, it's no problem. Now that we're primed, I do my eyebrows first in my makeup routine. There are really 3 ways that you can do your brows. You can do them with an eyebrow pencil, with eyebrow powder, or with an eyebrow pomade. Actually 4 ways, or an eyebrow gel. Usually people will use the eyebrow gel on top of the products that I just mentioned, but sometimes if you have really full, thick, naturally beautiful brows, you can get away with just putting on a brow gel and call it a day. My brows are a little thinner because I like them a little thinner and I like to fill them in. They have a pretty good shape to them. So me personally, I like to use a pencil or a powder. Now when I'm using a powder, I use 3 brushes. I'll use a small eyebrow angled brush. This one is from Morphe. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. This is from morphebrushes.com, and I got this in a set that I bought like 2 years ago and it's still going strong. I really love this for eyebrows. So like I said, when I'm using powder, I use a small angled brush. And I also use a spoolie. Sometimes if you go to the drugstore and you look for an eyebrow brush, sometimes they will have the brushes like this. And the brushes will be one and there will be an angled brush on the end and a spoolie on the other end. So I use these 2, and then to carve out my brows, which you don't have to do if you don't want to, I use a small concealer brush. This is from ColourPop. And all it is a flat, tiny little brush. This could be used for eyeshadow really too, but I like it for concealer because it's small and I can get right under and right over my brows when I'm carving them out with concealer. Another way that I do my brows is with an eyebrow pencil. Now this comes with a spoolie usually on the end, and it's just an eyebrow brush that you brush up your hairs with. The one that I'm using today is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil, and this one is super thin. As you can see, the product is there. I did bring up the product a little bit so that you guys could see it. You obviously don't need to pull up that much product, but I wanted you guys to see how skinny it was. And I like using this because it gives me really, really precise eyebrow strokes. If you are a first timer with eyebrows, I would suggest the kind of micro brow pencil as opposed to a thicker brow pencil. It's a little bit harder to maneuver when this is really easy to use and clean up. Now I'm going to use both powder and my pencil on my eyes just so you guys can see how I do it with both products. Okay, so first I'm going to use the brow pencil, and I'm just going to take both caps off the end here. I zoomed you guys in a little bit. Sorry I look rough. I haven't done my makeup yet. But the first thing that I do when using a brow pencil is I take the spoolie on the end and I brush my brow hairs up. So the reason that I brush my eyebrow hairs up, you brush them down, they look kind of funky, as you can see. So I like to brush them up and the way that they grow. I will just get about that much product out of the pencil, just enough to where I can see the product, but not enough to where if I push too hard, the product will break off, which I have done before. So what I will do with the pencil is I will get it right under this first part of my brow, and I will just lightly do little flicking motions in the direction that my eyebrow hairs are already growing. So I start at the very front and kind of go up with my eyebrow hairs. Kind of flicking the pencil brush like this. And then I will start to draw a line underneath my brow to kind of give me that shape there. And then I will brush them up again. And then I'll kind of start to fill them in just kind of sporadically. So going again in the direction that my hair is growing, I will just flick the brush as if I'm creating new brow hairs. Now, when picking a brow pencil shade, you want to go with the color of the roots of your hair. Because if I did blonde eyebrows, I would look crazy because my eyebrow hair is not blonde. My eyebrow hair is the same as my roots. So you always kind of want to go with the color of your roots or the color that your eyebrow hairs are naturally. Or if you have really botched eyebrows and you need to kind of fill them in a little bit more, you definitely want to go with the color of the roots of your hair. You can see usually on the outside of the product, they'll come in like boxes or, you know, packaging obviously, and it will tell the color. My shade is espresso, and that's a pretty dark brown shade, so that works for me. They have all different kinds of shades and all the different kinds of brands and things like that. You just have to go and look for your shade. And like I said, if you go into Ulta, Sephora, Walgreens, Target, there's always people there to help you. So don't be afraid to ask, because you don't want to go in and just pick an eyebrow pencil and then it be like blonde taupe and you have like black hair, you know? So you definitely want to get some help if you're not too sure. But they have pictures on the boxes of kind of what the color is. I don't trust those always completely just because it's a little bit off, but usually you can guess pretty close to what your eyebrow color is. So when I start filling in my brow, I will start going a little bit against my brow hairs, like this, going the other way, just filling in any sparse areas that I missed when I was flicking it this way. I knocked down stuff. So now I'm just kind of going the other direction and just filling it in just a little bit more. And I am not pressing hard on my eyebrow at all. I am being so light-handed, because if you go in too heavy-handed, it could look like you took a Sharpie to your eyebrows, and that's not what we want, honey. Okay? After you do that, your eyebrows are a little sparse, you see. So you're going to, again, brush them up and in the direction that they grow. That's a brow. She's not a perfect brow, but she's a cute brow. She's a filled in brow, so she's fine. And brows are really, really personal to each person, because you could have a different face shape than me and your arch be completely higher than mine, or you could have completely straight eyebrows and it complement your face better than how I do mine. So you definitely want to go in the shape of your natural brow. And like I said, if you have botched brows or if something happened, then I will maybe do a video later on how to really draw on the eyebrow, because I've had botched eyebrows before and I've had to draw on my own eyebrows. It was horrendous, but I did it and I did it well. Now I'm going to move on to the powder side of my eyebrow. So that wasn't too hard. This is a whole lot easier in my opinion, especially if you have a good brow shape already, or if you get your brows done and you naturally have just kind of a good brow shape that you're happy with. If you're not having to draw on your eyebrows, powder is a really good way to go. So like I said, I will use my angled brush and my spoolie, and I will literally just go into this palette right here. You don't need to buy this palette. There are tons of drugstore brands that sell specifically brow powder. I just so happen to have the colors that I need in this palette for my brows, so I don't see the point in going out and buying a brow powder for myself when I have colors that I can use in my palettes. So what I do, since I have pretty dark brows, is I will take this dark brown and a little bit of this black shade on my brush. I will just dip in a few times to each color, and then I will tap off the excess product. Now I will just brush the brow hairs up again, like I did on the other one, up in the direction that they're growing. And then I will take the brush and do essentially the same thing that I did with the pencil. So I will start here and just kind of flick up in the direction of my brow hairs. And I feel like I can be a little more messy with powder because it's really easy to brush away. It's really easy to wipe away. With a pencil, it's kind of harder and you have to like get a makeup remover wipe or something and kind of really wipe it away for it to be gone. But with powder, I feel like I can just do that and it's gone. So usually I will dip in a couple more times doing that same technique, just dip and tap off. That way, the reason I tap off some of the product is because I don't want my brow to be super, super dark, because you can always add product, but it's very hard to take product away. That's why with my pencil, I went in with a very light hand also, because like I said, it's easier to add product than to take product away. Filling in that brow and going in the direction of my brow hairs, just like that. And now with the front of my brow, I take the angled brush and I put it kind of to the side like this, straight onto my brow, and I kind of flick it this way, giving the front of my brow a little bit more brow hairs. And I will also do that with the pencil. Let me show you guys. I will get the pencil part and I will go to the front of my brow, and you can flick up like this very gently and essentially give yourself more brow hairs like that. And then just brush through it to kind of make it look more natural. Now, this part you can skip as well. Not brow. I mean, you can skip brows if you want, but I wouldn't. Brows to me are really important. So the next part that I do is with this concealer brush. Now, you don't have to do this part, but I like to get my concealer and put a little bit on my brush. And I only do this because I like really sharp, defined brows. So I will take the concealer brush and I will go right under my brow and just carve out the shape that I made with my product. So at first I will go under here and just smooth all that out like that. And then I will go to the top of my brow and kind of drag it down, just making the tail really sharp and just cleaning up anything that I need to. So as you can see, this brow is a lot sharper now than this brow because I carved this one out. Now we have two brows.